Today, I'm going to make the case for why trying to keep perfect posture, maybe an ergonomic workstation throughout your day, is actually making your back pain worse, or at least keeping you on this up and down, vicious, relentless, unpredictable back pain cycle. Today, on episode 5 of the Fitness for Back Pain podcast, we're talking about posture. So, I'm super excited to dive into this topic. It is a topic that I have talked with hundreds and hundreds of people who come to me with a history of just relentless roller coaster up and down tightness, low back tension, chronic pain, post surgery, without surgery, herniated disc, bulging disc. The backgrounds of these people are very, very different. They all come from different roads, but one thing that they all have in common is the wrong perspective when it comes to posture. Now, this is if you are a posture person, if you are a posture corrector in a sense of that is what you do, then this is going to upset you because perfect posture is, in my opinion, doing more harm than good. So we're going to dive right in with really 3 reasons why I believe you need to stop focusing so much on your posture, why that is, and why it could be honestly making your situation worse. So the first thing I want to talk about is the narrative that this concept or idea around having perfect posture, the narrative it's creating in your mind or in your belief system, right? So perfect posture is looked at as something that we need to achieve, right? And in order for us to achieve a pain-free body, let's say we have back pain, if we focus on creating, maintaining a ideal perfect posture, then we're going to be out of pain. And what the industry wants you to think, and when I say industry, I mean, maybe back pain specialist or posture corrector specialist or some methods that are out there that promote back pain relief. They talk about how we need to perfect our posture. And if we can maintain a good, upright, rigid posture, our shoulder blades pulled back, our pelvis in a perfect position, along with our head and our feet engaged and our glutes activated and all these different things that come with maintaining good posture, then our back pain will go away. And it's just not the case, right? So the problem with this is the stories that we're telling ourselves or the beliefs that we have around our situation, our back pain, are going to determine the direction that we take. So if the narrative we have in our, I guess, the strategy that we're trying to implement, if it's riddled with these concepts of like, I've got to make sure I have good posture throughout the day. If I can't maintain good posture, I need a posture corrector, or I need something that's going to help me maintain this good posture because I do feel better in an upright, perfect posture. And why not put a posture brace on or something that's going to help me keep that posture so my pain goes away? It's creating the wrong narrative, right? Which is going to lead me into my second point. So point number 1, make sure that you are understanding, filtering, asking why to the things that you're being told around your posture. You got to maintain good posture. Your spine has to always be neutral when you're lifting. Make sure you are filtering these things and you're not allowing it to consume you, thinking that if I go outside of perfect posture, that I'm going to be in trouble. Before we move on to the second point, really quick, if you are an active fitness enthusiast, right? Maybe you just want to get back into the gym, you want to start exercising, you want to maybe approach exercise from a smarter perspective, right? Maybe you've had surgery, you have a herniated disc, bulging disc, you have control over your pain somewhat, but your workouts seem to be causing you more harm than good. I want to give you a free guide. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It's a PDF that I've put together, super easy to download, super easy to consume, and actually take action on within minutes of getting it. I would encourage you to grab that before your next workout. If you got a workout session coming out tomorrow and you're like, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, my workouts are just causing me pain, go grab this pain-free training guide. fitnessforbackpain.com/ pain-free training. It's going to answer a lot of questions that you have. It's going to give you the tools you need to just create the best ideal workout structure for your unique back situation. fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. It's yours absolutely free. The second point I want to make about this concept around why we should not be focusing so much on perfect posture is that it creates stiffness and what is called hypervigilance. So hypervigilance is you being very hyper focused on what's going on in your body, right? So you can be hyper vigilant about symptoms. You can be hyper vigilant around movement. You can be hyper vigilant around basically anything that has to do with what is going on in your body, how your back is feeling, the movements that you're doing. And what happens is when we take this approach of like being super uber mindful of the position that our body is in at all times, what this does, it creates this hypervigilance around your body, around the issues that you might be having. And what happens, what in my experience, what I have seen with myself and my own 8+ year journey out of chronic back pain, and now with working with thousands of people worldwide with the same issue, is that this hypervigilance leads to creating unnecessary stiffness, unnecessary tension that their body holds on to. And the way I like to describe this with students of mine is if you were to take your fist, right? And you were to make a fist, and from your fist all the way down to your elbow is a straight line. And you squeeze and make that whole forearm, that wrist, those fingers, and make that fist, make it super, super tight, and you squeeze. Then you have someone try to pull on the top of your fist and pull to the right, pull to the left, back, forward, all while you trying to maintain that super rigid, tight, neutral position of the forearm and wrist. After a couple of minutes of someone yanking and pulling and trying to break your quote unquote form at your wrist, how do you think your arm's gonna feel? How do you think your wrist is going to feel? It's gonna be painful, right? It's gonna be stiff. It's gonna be tight, tense, achy, because you're trying to create stiffness around something that doesn't really need to have stiffness around it. Typically, the default response to fear, anxiety, worry in our bodies is tension. And research shows us that the majority of this tension typically falls in the postural muscles, right? From your head, your shoulders, between your shoulder blades, mid-back, low back, glutes, hamstrings, things like that. If we're so focused on trying to create perfect posture, we are becoming hypervigilant around our body's position in space at all times. I believe that God created your body to not have to do that. There are systems created and ran by your nervous systems that are in charge of this kind of thing. So what good is it for you to be like, always tuned in, always checked in to whether or not your head is stacked over your shoulders, and whether or not your shoulders are pulled back and your shoulder blades are pulled back and down and you're engaged and your chest is sticking out and your pelvis is in the ideal position and your lumbar support is perfect and you have the perfect angle between extension and flexion in your low back. You can't do that. Our bodies are not created to be constantly monitoring the position of every limb. It's just not what is natural. We can focus on that stuff, right? You start working out, you're under a barbell or some dumbbells, and you become hyper vigilant of like every muscle in your body, and you're coming down with these dumbbells and you feel that stretch, but you don't want to go too low, so you're being mindful of how low you're going, and then you're pressing it back up and you're trying to control so you don't dislocate your shoulders or the weight's not going over your head or going in a weird direction. There's a time and a place for hypervigilance and focus and posture when it comes to exercise and movement during a certain activity, but you've got to give yourself the permission to let go. My third point when it comes to why I believe perfect posture is wrecking sensitive backs that are already sensitive, they're just making your pain worse, is it doesn't provide what I call free movement, which is one of the most important ingredients to lasting chronic back pain relief. Now, what is free movement, or how do I define free movement? Again, not sure what you believe. I believe that God created our body to be able to be moved and freely move in all different planes of motion, which means bending, twisting, lateral bending, back bending, flexion, like all these things, hip hinging, bending your knee, like all of these movements our bodies should be able to do. The problem is we need to give ourselves the freedom to move in these planes of movement without tension, without guarding, without protection, right? And the way I describe it to students that I work with is our bodies have this natural protection mechanism. So when you are in pain, when you have a back injury, a history of back injury, or you've been told that your back is damaged goods, it's fragile, you've been fused, all the things that surgeons and doctors like to tell people who are vulnerable and who have back pain, they tell them these things that creates a narrative in their head that they're weak, fragile, soft, brittle, that they're not going to be able to withstand weight, anything past 15 pounds, like all these things. What that does is it creates this idea that we can't move free and we have to do the best that we can to protect ourselves from ourselves, right? The way our bodies was designed to move and twist and bend, it's not safe. We have to create extra stiffness. We have to make sure that every bending that we do is with a neutral spine. Our butt is going back. Our weight is evenly distributed. Our sitting posture, there's no slouching in our sitting posture. Everything has to be dialed in. And this creates insanity. It creates, again, point number 2, stiffness, this overprotection, overguardedness, hypervigilance, which leads to, if you are already sensitive, you already have back issues, all this is going to do is lead to more tension, more stiffness, more back spasms, where simply you buckling your seatbelt, your left QL lights up and it locks down. Because you have created a habit and a routine to protect, to guard, and to not twist, to not bend forward freely, to not extend, to not bend laterally, whatever it is, movement that causes you pain. You need to give yourself permission to let go, permission to sit in your office chair and completely slouch, to relax, to what I call melt into your chair. A phrase or a coaching, point that I use a lot with people is this concept of melting before you move. And again, when it comes to chronic back pain, people have an issue of overguarding, being hypervigilant about movement, protecting, and being very rigid and stiff with their movement. And what I try to teach people is this concept of melting before you move. And it's giving yourself the freedom to bend, let's say recklessly, right? Slowly. We're going slow. This is a practice thing that we have to do. And I teach people how to do this in my accelerator program. I teach them how to bend their neck, their shoulders, their thoracic spine, their mid-back, their low back, and bend these things without hip hinging. Oh no, watch out. I don't teach, I say, hey, don't hip hinge. Roll yourself up like a fruit roll up, okay? Just roll it up like I can't think of anything else that would be rolling up. Like what's that pizza thing? Stromboli? Do you roll up Stromboli? I don't think you do. Anyways, so you're gonna roll yourself up, roll yourself down, into spinal flexion, safely, slowly, but completely relaxed. Now, don't take that. There's obviously strategies and systems behind that idea, but the concept I'm trying to get across to you, is give yourself permission to be able to relax with movement. If you want to be able to twist again, bend again, extend again, you need to be able to give yourself the ability to completely melt, relax, unguard, take off the change, take off the tension, the tightness, the protection, the hypervigilance, and slowly earn back the ability to do that. And it's not as easy as just like, okay, William said I can just bend forward now and I'm good. No, because you might bend forward, it might be a pain provoker. It might pick the scab of your injury. What I'm saying is your strategy for lasting long-term relief may involve posture awareness early on. This is what I focus on with my students in my Accelerator Strength and Pain Relief program. We focus on awareness, but the awareness is both looking at painful movements and postures, but also looking at opportunities to find free movement, which might be kind of scary, might go against what you've been told about perfect posture. But what it happens is your body begins to let go and give you freedom to move again, to play tennis, to hike, to kayak, to ride your horse, to sit in a car on a long trip without tension, without pain, without spasms. It happens. And perfect posture is not how you do it. I'm telling you, perfect posture is not how you do it. So you can always go to get your posture analyzed. I'm sure there is someone out there who's willing to do that. But if you want lasting, long-term, chronic back pain relief, it will not come from a stand-up desk. It will not come from the most expensive ergonomic chair. It won't come from any kind of anything that has to do with posture. Freedom with your movement, freedom to be able to bend, twist, and relax into natural postures with your body is the way to go. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you listen to this on where podcasts are listened to, make sure you give me a review. I love just hearing from you guys how this content is hitting with y'all. If you're watching this on YouTube, appreciate the views, appreciate you just coming back and checking it out. If you're watching this long into the video, I love you. Okay, you're awesome. And I hope this content is just changing your life. If you're looking to have me show you exactly the way you should be programming your workouts from a back pain or post-surgery perspective, there is a difference. You've got to learn to look at exercise from a pain perspective and not so much an exercise perspective. The byproduct is resilience, is strength, is endurance, all the things that we want out of a workout, but you're approaching it differently. It's yours free. Go to fitnessforbackpain.com/pain-free training. Thanks for watching, listening. Give me a review. Let me know what you want to hear, and I will see you on the next episode.